Welcome, my fellow Weeaboos and Transformers fans, and today I'm going to be ranking the Transformers live action movies and how much I enjoyed them. So, the Transformers movies have always been some of my favorite movies when growing up as a kid. I remember back in middle school, I loved them. But I have a soft spot for the Michael Bay movies. I know many people don't like them or think they're bad movies, and yeah, they're not, the highest class of art, but they do what they're meant to. They entertain, and I found that they were quite enjoyable, and I think a lot of other people clearly did as well, considering some of them made over $1 billion. But I am a weeaboo, so I do have slightly different opinions compared to regular folk, or should I say normies. So some of you may be angry at my placements, but I also brought along one of my friends who watched all the Transformers movies with me while preparing to make my Strength and Power tier list. So if you haven't seen that, go watch that, where I rank all the characters in Transformers in terms of how powerful I think they are. But would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, hi everybody. I'm the one who's forced to watch every movie with this guy.
Yes. So if you remember, for the few thousand people who actually saw it, I think it was like 20,000 now or something. But he was also there for my Marvel movie rankings when we did that. So now we're doing Transformers, and I'm going to go from worst to best in terms of how much I enjoyed them, rather than like release order. Um, so I'm going to start off with the one I believe is the worst. There's going to be two movies in the meh tier. So the meh tiers, found both these movies to be a little boring. So the first one I'm going to put, basically my last place movie, is Transformers Age of Extinction. I know this one is not a hot take. Many people have this or The Last Night as their bottom pick, so I assume many of you were expecting something like this. But for me, I have this one at the bottom because one, I'm pretty sure it's the longest Transformers movie, and I think it's also the most boring. So yeah,
By far the
basic,
longest.
yeah.
So long.
And one of the things that makes this the worst one is the main cast are not likable. Mark Wahlberg's character is okay, but his daughter and the boyfriend are pretty insufferable. And there's also, the memeable moment everyone talks about of his little Romeo and Juliet card he
God,
keeps in his
that was just
wallet.
so. Who
That
thought
was,
that was okay?
yeah, I have no idea. That's just such a weird thing to put in there. It's almost surreal. Yeah, this is my card that says dating an underage girl is okay. Uh, I mean,
They're
not that.
projecting something. Someone's
Yeah,
projecting something.
yeah. I mean, just talk. I mean, that's
Like
a whole
Harvey
different.
Weinstein, did he make that movie?
Yeah, I mean, the whole debate about that is like if it's moral or not. That's a completely different topic. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing if she's like 17 and he's 20, whatever. They're pretty close or something, or he was not, whatever. But
They were
just
both in
why
high
are
school
they?
together.
Yeah, yeah. But why are they putting that in the movie? Like, why is that there? Like, it's just such a creepy thing that they just
Especially
added.
because we know both the actors are like in their 20s at least.
Yeah, but yeah, that's not the main problem with the movie. That's just funny, like why they did that. But yeah, so none of the really characters were that likable. New cast of Autobots, which were all okay. Like, I know your favorite's Hound, right?
Oh yeah, Hound's amazing. He was really funny.
Yeah, yeah, he's a pretty cool character. But one thing I didn't like is how basically the third movie had a good ending, and then this movie just starts up with like everyone's like, oh, everyone just died. Sam's gone. The other Autobots you guys like, they're gone, and now they're getting hunted. It kind of reminds me of The Force Awakens, how they basically just ruined the ending, the like, satisfying ending of the last trilogy, to just go back to how, like, yep, things are bad again now. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
really like it when movies do that.
it's definitely like a spit in the face to the Michael Bay fans, especially.
Yeah, which is weird because it's
Especially
a
like
Michael
as
Bay
you
making
mentioned, they
this movie.
literally kill off Sam and they like don't mention it
Yeah.
besides like a passing thing.
Yeah, then that's in the fifth one. They say the other guy's like the last Witwicken or something, so that, and Sam was one of them, so that implies he's dead. But yeah, I don't know. It's just I'm not a big fan of that. Like, I would have rather have seen like the downfall of like the current Autobots. I mean, it's okay if they do it, but it's just the rest of the movie wasn't good either, and I didn't like that either. So it's just
The one redeeming part for me though was at least the fight in the city was pretty cool. As I said, like Hound is really cool. He had a
yeah.
really good fight.
Yeah, I like that part, but what I didn't like is the Dinobot part when they came in. Like, it's cool and visually stunning, but it's like it was just there was like kind of like a music montage as they were just running through and like killing nameless
Oh yeah.
bots that nobody cares about. Speaking of the KSI drones, I hate how they transformed. I'm pretty sure nobody likes that.
It was just a way to like cheap out, really.
Yeah,
It was terrible. I
yeah.
did like the guy. I did like that main villain though. He was pretty funny
Yeah,
at
yeah, I
some
was
point.
gonna get to that. Lockdown. He is like the one redeeming quality of the movie. Arguably the best villain in the entire series. Definitely the most badass. The most badass Transformer, rivaled only by Optimus Prime. Just the way he like
I mean,
walks in that one scene with his ship behind him, and he has like a really epic theme. The music theme he
oh yeah.
has.
I mean, his head is a gun.
Yeah, yeah. So him and his fight scenes were cool. Yeah, they just really need to trim up this movie, not have those KSI transform like that. The KSI bots actually have Transformers we know of, like
Yeah.
especially as villains. Like Galvatron was like barely in it. No one cares about the nameless KSI drones.
Have the actual Dinobots do something that's not just like kind of rushing and saving the day at the very end.
Yeah, yeah, they
Like
should have been in it more.
Optimus just beat him in like what 10 seconds.
Yeah,
It's like really, it's like, oh, these are supposed to be the bots that save the day, except
hmm
one
yeah.
one Autobot just pretty much destroys their
Yeah.
leader.
And I also find it funny how Optimus literally forces him to help. Like, he's like, you help us or I'll kill you, or like, join us or die. That's basically a Decepticon thing. Like, literally
I mean,
forcing, he subjugated
yeah,
them.
he is. I mean, to be honest, if you take all of his voice lines out of context, Optimus basically is a villain.
We will kill them all.
Yeah. Okay, I think we talked enough about Age of Extinction. So this is where the hot takes start, the controversy. I'm gonna put Transformers: Rise of the Beasts next. I bet a lot of you were expecting the last night, but no. I'm gonna take Rise of the Beasts, which I'm hearing a lot of people like it, and they have it at their top
God,
or close to the top. But me, my friend, and my brother all disagree with that. We watched it, and for me, the main problem with this one, just like Age of Extinction, I found it boring. The humans, I did not care for them. Noah was okay. The female lead was extremely stale. She didn't need to be there.
she
She was
didn't do
basically, yeah,
anything,
she was just there to like bring him to the next location because she like knew stuff about like museum stuff and
and then
like, oh, it's over here.
potential love interest. They kind of
Yeah.
threw
Yeah,
that in there
okay.
randomly.
And I don't want to be mean, but Michael Bay, even though he he like makes he shoots women in a certain way and he picks certain actresses that look a certain way, and let's just say they did not go that route with this film. And so the eye candy of that was lost. And you don't have to have that, but it's just one of the things the
I mean,
Transformers movies
it's
has.
an action movie. You got to have
Yeah.
explosions and hot girls. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just like the two things. It's
Yeah.
like James Bond.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? I
And
would wait. I would even say that this is by far the worst one.
I think it could be the I have Age of Extinction below just for now because one, I rewatched it, so that's bound to make it worse than like watching it for the first time. I will give Transformers: Rise of the Beasts a benefit of the doubt that we did watch it in a theater we did not like. The screen was too small, it was too high up, so that might have dampened the experience. But like, I honestly, it just I don't know. I don't think it made it that much worse. Like, I
I
just
mean,
feel.
the problem for me in that movie was the last epic, quote unquote epic battle was terrible. It
Yep.
was just CGI fest with copy paste
Yeah.
enemies
People say
and like
Michael Bay's bad
MacGuffins.
with that, but this was worse. Like, it was literally just a gray background and like an unappealing field with a bunch of
Yep.
enemies that no one cares about. They were just extremely weak fodder. You could barely see what was going on.
They were being pooped out. I
Yeah,
mean,
literally.
literally.
Yeah, they came out of nowhere. They came out of that like tower that also came out of nowhere. Like, literally a volcano just spewed out a tower that summons Unicron, and then those
If the
things
tower
came out of it.
explodes, it's like a what did they say? It was ridiculous. It was like a ridiculous explosion.
Yeah, no,
Like a
that's
supernova.
the key or whatever. Yeah, if they destroy the key, they said
Yeah.
it would like it has the power of greater than a supernova,
But
and
then it was like a
Optimus destroyed
vacuum
it.
bomb and then did nothing.
Yeah, but yeah, there are a couple of cool fight scenes. Like we like the hill scene where they were fighting on the hill. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The
I
museum
always
fight was
like
okay.
it when they partially transform during combat. I think
Yeah.
that's like one of the coolest things. That and the whole the suit where the main guy got the power armor.
Oh
Basically,
yeah, that
from
reminds me. Yeah,
Mirage.
Mirage was one of the highlights of the movie. I did like Mirage, but the problem is none of the other Transformers get screen time. None of them were interesting. Optimus was okay, but worse than all the other films, in my opinion. He was just kind of like a brooding guy. Like he's like, oh, I want to go home, and then he does have character growth, which is good, but I don't know. He was just not that exciting or
And then
interesting.
Bumblebee
Yeah, Bumblebee's there
dying
just to
and coming
die and
back.
come back. Yeah, and Mirage also did that. Like once is enough. I thought Mirage's was okay. It's like, oh yeah, he might actually be dead. We know Bumblebee's not gonna die, so it's pointless. And also the way he was revived was more dumb. But Mirage actually had a good-ish fake out death. Where it's like, oh, he might actually be dead. But then he was like, oh no, I'm still alive, and you could use my body to fight. And then he comes back at the end, like fully like rebuilt, like in the mid credit scene. Um, so yeah, so that was okay, but yeah, the Bumblebee was really dumb. Um, yeah, and the designs in general, like especially Prime, I like the Michael Bay Prime design better. I know a lot of people like the G1 designs, but yeah, I think that's just nostalgia. Like the Michael Bay one just looks way more badass.
Well, they look more modern. Is just really what it is.
Okay, and we also have to talk about how it's called Rise of the Beasts, and the beasts are barely in it. Just like Age of Extinction is supposed to be about Dinobots, the Dinobots are barely in it. And the beasts don't really talk either. Literally, it's just Optimus Primal,
One
and
of them doesn't talk at all.
yeah, exactly. The Rhino doesn't talk at all, and Air Razor. Those two are okay, but all of them should have had like dialogue and screen time like that. There should have been more of them. It should have been less time on that like stupid like battle with 1,000 people. It should
Well,
have
and
been.
the thing is, you didn't even get to see most of them fight in the battle.
Yeah, exactly. Like the
It's more
Rhino,
like
like Rhinox, like
yeah.
literally you just see him like run into some people. He like hit a couple people with a hammer. The Cheetah one, like you barely see him do anything. Like you have to look in the background for him fighting like creatures or whatever. But like he could have been cool, like using his cheetah form, like running really fast through them, showing off how his speed was a real asset to him and stuff like that. But they just had no time to shine. Basically, it was just Optimus and Mirage in the final battle, and Bumblebee had like one scene where he came down from a plane. Um, yeah, let's see. Well, yeah, okay. The bad guy, Scourge, he's pretty cool. He's kind of like Lockdown, but honestly, just not as cool. The one scene that I thought he was really intimidating was in the forest at the very beginning when he came out to attack Ape Link. He looked like with his glowing orange chest, he looked kind of like a badass coming out there. He was like, oh my god, that actually looks intimidating. And then the way he killed Ape Link was actually pretty cool as well and pretty brutal. Aside from that, he was just kind of a generic bad guy working for the bigger bad guy.
Yeah, especially like his henchmen.
Yeah. Oh, and we have to talk about the GI Joe reveal at the end. I'm not a GI Joe fan. I don't really care for that and GI Joe mixing with the Transformers. But
See, I have to disagree. I kind of liked it. I thought it was funny. I thought it was also very interesting because I wonder what they'll do.
yeah, I am interested
because,
in
like-
that. But I feel like they'll mess it up more likely than do it good.
Probably. I mean, I can almost guarantee you they will. I mean, the issue is GI Joe. They have like advanced technology, kind of like nanobots and shit, but they don't have like Transformer level threat things.
Yeah.
Unless they're gonna change the canon again.
And the thing is, the GI Joe characters, if they have other human characters with them, it's just going to take more time from the Transformers. So if they do that, they have to have no like main character like human. Like it has to be the Joes are the main characters with the Transformers.
Oh, okay. That would be the best case scenario
Yeah.
because that would make a lot of sense. You'd have these advanced, very elite, Transformers, and then the super elite humans. And then it kind of goes with each other because they're like, you have Snake Eyes and like all the crazy GI Joe people, and then you match them with the Transformers, so it's
Yeah.
like it kind of goes crazy.
Yeah, so Noah's
Oh.
joining them, so we could be like from Noah's point of view, like what it's like. Oh, this is the Joes, and then he'll work with them, and then with the Autobots. But yeah, I think honestly they should cut out the girl character, Elena.
Oh, I
She's
think
pointless.
so too.
Uh,
It would be funny though because he would be like the sole normal person amongst all these like basically superhumans slash killing machines. I don't know. That'd be interesting, but we'll see. It's probably gonna be terrible.
yeah. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. Another hot take: Bumblebee, which a lot of people think is the best or near the best. For me, it was an okay movie, which makes it better than the two before. Like, it's like, yeah, this is average to above average, especially because it has Transformers in it, which I like. It had the Cybertron battle at the beginning, and then like midway through, there was another showing of the Cybertron battle. Honestly,
Give me a Cybertron movie.
yeah,
That's all
which
I want.
apparently they're making Transformers 1 or whatever. But they're not having Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime, which is blasphemy, so we'll see how that is. But yeah, I'm not as big of a fan as the Cybertron scene as a lot of other people. Like, honestly, it was just like Optimus killing a bunch of like generic Seekers, and then that's it. I mean, it was okay. It was cool to see, but it wasn't like the best. And the scenes I did like were Bumblebee did have pretty cool fights with Blitzwing and Shatter and Dropkick. Those fights were pretty good. Uh, Good relationship with Charlie. A few funny scenes. Like I think the funniest scene was like when Bumblebee got carried away and started jumping on like that one like rich bitch's car. That
Yeah,
was pretty funny.
my favorite part, like the part that I thought was the most funny was definitely when he went to the house and just destroyed everything.
Yeah, yeah.
That was
Inside
really
hit the
funny.
house. Yeah, when he was destroying everything because he's so big.
I mean, it's weird though because they treat him kind of like a lost puppy, and I get
Mm-hmm.
it. I mean, he has no memory,
Mm-hmm.
but like, I feel like they lean into it a little too much.
Yeah, he's
Like,
still supposed to be like a super genius, like
yeah, exactly.
robot.
Like
Like
they're
he's like,
supposed to
oh,
be
he's
like
still a
super
genius, but with no
intelligent.
memory, but still a genius. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
he
kind
would still be like human level intelligence,
of a bear. Well, he'd be above that still.
hopefully.
He
Oh
should
yeah,
be.
no,
Yeah.
definitely. But
Yeah.
like, they treat him like a dog,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
And the girl is okay. I agree. She's okay. The
Yeah.
dynamic is good. I mean, the story. There's an actual story in this
Yeah.
movie, unlike the two beneath it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's shorter, it's more like concise, it's just a better, more solid movie. But it's like not that interesting to me. Like it's like nothing surprising happens. It's like girl meets car,
It's
that's
basic.
Transformer, then they beat the bad guy. Like nothing noteworthy. And
Yeah.
it's not
I mean,
like a super heartfelt like, "Oh my god, this was so written so well, so much character development." Like it's just like a very standard movie and I think it's way overhyped.
it would have been better if they led it into another movie, maybe with the same girl. Like maybe if this girl was in the movie we just saw, Rise of the Beasts.
Yeah.
Maybe
Or if
just
like
string it along.
I mean, Rise of the Beasts almost doesn't even feel like a continuation of Bumblebee at all. Like it goes back to trying to be like a pseudo Michael Bay movie, but then like it's not like as Michael Bay as the Michael Bay
There's no
movie, so it just kind of fails.
explosions.
Yeah, it's
There are
like
not that many explosions.
exactly. It just looks not as good. But let's go to the next movie, and that's gonna be Transformers: The Last Night. I like it way more than a lot of people, but I mean, it's still not gonna be that high up on
Well,
the tier list. But
for me,
okay.
I would swap these two. But
Yeah.
what's your argument for this?
Okay, for me, this one it's just more entertaining, more interesting, and funnier. I found this movie to have quite a bit of some good comedy scenes, especially with Cogman and his master, Anthony Hopkins, the guy he plays. I think they were really good. Some cool action scenes. I thought the night thing was kind of interesting, like the medieval stuff, but then it kind of like went nowhere. But the dragon was kind of cool. Um, yeah, so also Cade in this movie is I think he's way better than he was in Age of Extinction. In Age of Extinction, he was like the unsure, oh, I want to be an inventor guy. And this one, like he said in this one, he's like, I'm the big boss. And he's just kind of acting like a badass. And
Oh
he's
yeah,
like,
he didn't care.
yeah.
He literally didn't.
Yeah,
Mark Wahlberg didn't even
yeah,
care.
exactly. And they got rid of his daughter and the boyfriend for this one, which was a good call. Which is like, that's
Well,
what they
they
needed.
did add that other kind of like
Yeah, the
pseudo,
other
he's
young
like
girl.
helper
Yeah, she
guy.
didn't need to be in it. Oh, and the helper guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was barely in it. Like they were kind of just there and
He was
unneeded.
funny though. He should have
Yeah.
been in it more. I
Yeah,
like
yeah, and him maybe more
He's
of
like,
him
"You don't
instead of
even
that
pay me."
girl. Yeah, yeah, they should have been like more their dynamic and him just like bullying him around. That would have been more funny. Then
Yeah, he's
because
like, oh, what do you want to go to jail?
yeah, yeah, you're already a part of this. But yeah, and then I thought it was like just cool how they were all like hanging out at like the junkyard and like Grimlock was just kind of there like eating cars like the policeman's car. But yeah, and also Megatron's back instead of Galvatron, so I like that better. He was better in this one, but still not in it enough. I like the one scene where he like asks for his Decepticons back, and they like release him from prison and like shows all of them. And Nitro Zeus was kind of funny, but the one thing I'm sad about is they were barely utilized. They all died, like except Nitro Zeus in that first battle, and Barricade again, who just like disappears from the finale and doesn't die
He
again.
always disappears
Yeah.
in every movie.
It's funny, but it's like I think
I mean,
originally it's because they
Anthony
forgot,
Hopkins
but now
definitely carried this movie.
Yeah.
Though. He did such a good job, especially when they went to his house.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
such a good point of the movie for me.
yeah, and
The end battle though was very weak.
I
in
agree
my
with that.
opinion.
I was gonna say like it was kind of it kind of reminds me of the Rise of the Beasts where they were just fighting like a big enemy like kind of back there. Like you barely see what they're shooting at. They're just like on this giant like Cybertron like it's coming down to Earth, and it's just very impersonal. They're just like shooting at guns and turrets at them. I think that they should have reduced that scene or like made it more personal fighting Megatron like more up close, and they should have extended the town fight with the Decepticons that Megatron literally we spent like 5 minutes gathering instead of having them all die instantly. It should have been like the Transformers 1 movie in Mission City at the end, like where they're fighting like Brawl and Blackout and Starscream, like
yeah,
they're all
definitely.
fighting like and they're actually putting up a fight and they're there for a while. Like that city battle could have been really good, like with Megatron versus Grimlock and like
Especially
Barricade
because
versus
they set up like
Drift and stuff,
like it was
yeah.
basically a trap. It would have been
Exactly,
very
yeah.
interesting.
That could have been a much cooler, longer battle. Instead, like they just got rid of all the characters they spent the time showing. And the one weirdest thing about this movie is how the aspect ratio keeps changing throughout the movie. I do not like that. It's the only one that does that. I'm pretty sure. I have no idea why that happened.
I never noticed that until you pointed it out, but then I never unsaw it. It
Yeah,
was truly awful.
yeah.
Going along with the characters, though, I feel like what's his name, the soldier who's in all the Michael Bay
Oh
movies.
yeah, he was in this one too.
He
Yeah,
should have been more
Colonel
in it.
Lennox. Yeah.
I like him a lot.
Yeah,
He's a very
yeah, and
interesting
he was
character.
interesting that he came back too because he was like he still liked the Autobots, but he was technically on the side that was hunting them, so that was kind of interesting. And my Optimus turned bad because he was like brainwashed by Quintessa, but he wasn't long enough. I think like he should have been like more of the villain.
He was also too weak.
Yeah, like he kind of got beat up by Bumblebee a little bit. It was too hard for him to beat Bumblebee. But like I mentioned in my strength tier list, I think Optimus was kind of like not in his right mind and not fighting like correctly, like when he was controlled. But it was just dumb and like he
You
should
could
have been
say
more
like
with it.
part
Yeah,
of him was fighting the mind
yeah,
control or something,
yeah.
and
But
the the one part at the very end where it's just like, oh, we're gonna drop this big ball was kind of out of left field and very stupid.
yeah.
It's like that's your big idea.
And Quintessa was one of the weakest villains. But it's interesting how they setting up Unicron to be Earth, which I don't know where they were going with that because I prefer Unicron to be able to transform and actually be a threat, and I don't know how you'd do that if he's the Earth because it would kill everybody. So I don't like that, but I was also interested in where that was going. But I guess we might not ever see that unless they do some like time like shenanigans. And it's like, oh, Rise of the Beasts and Bumblebee actually weren't reboots. They used time travel, and this Unicron was Earth before. I don't know, but they're probably not going to do that. But that's the only way that I could see it ever being set up.
It would
like
be
that.
even
But yeah, I don't know.
funnier if Earth was Unicron, but only part of Unicron.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's multiple planets
Yeah.
or something,
I
and he
don't.
transforms like it's just his arm or something.
Yeah, I don't know, but as you can see, I think there's way more things to talk about this movie than Bumblebee. I find it way more interesting, but Bumblebee is definitely, you could argue, a better movie. It's better set up, but I just find Transformers like
It's not a
the
better
last
action
night.
movie,
Yeah,
though.
exactly. Like if there's way more action in the last night, I just find it more interesting, more funny. But it's like the story, I will admit, the story is the dumbest in the last night out of all of these. It's the least coherent. It's like everything's out of left field. They throw all the lore away. Bumblebee was there during World War II for some reason and killing Nazis, even though like how Autobots are, they really shouldn't be getting involved then. And also in 2007, the movie, they didn't like even the Sector 7 didn't know any Autobot besides, or they didn't know any Transformer besides Megatron, which they called NBE-1. It makes no sense that the military was working with Transformers beforehand. So yeah, just if you like talk about like consistency and like just the story wise and like continuity, The Last Night is the worst. But ignoring that is like just turn your brain off, have fun. Like this is where I put it.
Yeah, it's pretty reasonable, I think.
Okay, so let's go to the next tier, and I will go Revenge of the Fallen. This is another one people say that is arguably one of the worst ones, but I find the original trilogy just to be much better than the others.
It's
Like,
coherent. It's
yeah.
because it's a singular vision, really.
um,
Michael Bay.
well, I mean, yeah, the first five are Michael Bay, but it also like he wanted to do the first three, and they kind of just kept pressuring him to do more, which is why I did 4 and 5. But this one did happen during the writers' strike or something like that, and like it kind of messed up some things in the movie. And I will agree, like when watching it again, it wasn't is it was a little slower in some portions and compared to the first and third one, but it has some of the best scenes. Like I think the forest battle with Optimus versus Megatron, Starscream, and Grindor is arguably the best fight scene in the series.
It's really good. I mean, the effects just hold up so well too. Same thing with all these older Michael Bay movies. They're truly almost the same tier of special effects as the newer movies.
Yep. Yeah, and also the original three, Sam Witwicky. Some people don't like him and make fun of him for screaming and stuff, but I find him pretty funny, and I love his parents as well. Sam and his parents are just great characters, as well as Agent Simmons. He's an awesome character. They're all in
He's
this
my
movie.
favorite character.
Yeah,
Absolute favorite character.
yeah, they just.
And then the same thing with the soldiers. The soldiers are really good.
Yeah, Lennox and Epps, they're good characters. Yeah, so just a better, more likable cast in my opinion for the first three, and yeah, where this movie falls off a little. Well, one, like it gets drags on a little in some places, but the final battle with the Fawn was too short. I think with Jetfire Prime and him versus Megatron and the Fawn. But I think that was part of the writer strike, and they ran out of money. I heard Bay said he wanted that fight to be longer. Um, but yeah, and besides that, there were kind of like the Optimus death, and then just, oh yeah, the Matrix will bring him back. It turns to dust, and it comes back, and Sam like talks to the Primes in the afterlife. That's a little wonky.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah,
the weird MacGuffin that
yeah,
they all have in all of these movies,
and
basically.
yeah, you could argue the humor goes too far in some places too, like with Wheelie humping Megan's leg. Um, yeah, that is a little strange. Why is he attracted to her? I don't know. Why are they having a robot hump a girl on screen? I don't know. I will say I found it funny when I was 12. So that's the audience it was for. And then the other scene people really make fun of is when there's like when Agent Simmons is under Devastator. He's like right under enemy scrotum. I don't know. I thought that is kind of funny. Like it's like whatever. Like he has wrecking balls as a scrotum.
It fits the
Yeah.
character's personality because
Yeah.
he's like a weirdo.
Yeah, but it's like like that doesn't ruin the movie even if you don't like that one scene that's like 5 seconds.
Also, they underused Devastator.
Yeah, that's true. And I know
I can get it because the effects are probably too expensive to do,
Yeah.
but yeah. Also, the setting was kind of in my opinion, for that whole end part.
Yeah. Yeah, just end the desert basically.
It wasn't
but,
as bad as all gray.
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
Just all
Yeah, it was more vibrant, and it has actual characters like it's like it build up the Fawn, so you have to fight him. Megatron's there, you got to fight him. Starscream was there, and yeah, and then you have the Autobots that fighting them, and yeah, I don't know, like it's just you actually like the characters more than like Rise of the Beasts has like no characters like at all. Basically, it has like the Autobots, and if you didn't watch any of the other movies or the shows, then it's like, who are these people?
I will say though, back to Rise of the Beast, Mirage was really good. I feel like
Yeah.
he was almost better than Bumblebee.
Yeah.
I feel like he should just replace Bumblebee.
I did, especially in that movie. I think he was better than Bumblebee, but I do like Bumblebee in the first 3 films, and 4 and 5 is okay. Yeah, so
Yeah. I mean, take what you will with the whole like radio for a voice thing, like that trope. Personally, I'd rather him just talk.
yeah. But I like I mean, I like his radio talking, but I like Bumblebee as a badass, like in the Michael Bay films, compared to like his like cutesy.
Oh
kind of
yeah,
thing
well
in,
he's
like,
so much
Bumblebee.
bigger
Yeah.
and stronger.
Yeah. Okay, so I think I'm ready to go on the next film, and this is may surprise some people. I know a lot of people have Transformers as their top, but I have it as my second favorite in the great tier. I do think it is a level above Revenge of the Fallen, just a more coherent, well put together movie. The scene with Optimus meeting Sam for the first time, that transformation was awesome. Bumblebee and meeting Sam for the first time is great. The final battle, the Decepticons actually felt like threats and not cannon fodder like they do for the rest of the movies. Yeah, just a really good movie.
The introduction of the new designs are like really good.
Yeah, and good comedy that doesn't go too far in this one, except for that one scene, which I see a lot of people make fun of, is when Bumblebee pees on Agent Simmons' head or lubricates on him. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of funny. You could argue that was a little too far, but 5 seconds doesn't ruin the entire movie. You have anything to say
I
about
guess
it?
this is the very first one with the quote unquote MacGuffin, so it's not too bad, but I still wish it wasn't that kind of plot where it's like, oh, we got to get this MacGuffin.
Yeah, the Allspark. Yeah, it's literally there is a MacGuffin in every movie, I think, except Bumblebee. Yeah, Transformers, Allspark, Transformers 2, The Matrix, Transformers 3 are the pillars, Transformers 4 is the seed, Transformers 5 is the staff. Bumblebee, yeah, like I said, I don't think there's one. Maybe Bumblebee is the MacGuffin, and then Transformers: The Rise of the Beasts is the time key or whatever.
Keys.
Yeah,
the 2 keys.
Yep.
It's a little bit more forgivable.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously it's like it's not a trope if it's the first one.
I mean, the biggest downside for the first movie for me, I would put it in the prime tier personally, but Megan Fox is honestly one of the weaker just characters and just. Like, I mean, she's there, basically.
Yeah, and she's not, like, a super charismatic, likable character. And Sam is, like, the least, I think, likable out in this one, I would say, because he's like, I don't know, he's just like a teenager in high school. He's still funny, but
Well, he hasn't found his character really,
yeah,
I think.
yeah. Um, he's more. I mean, he's still like Chad in this one. Like when he's like, oh yeah, we're here to climb this tree. And then I like his joke. He has great comebacks. Like to the jock is like, oh, I wasn't actually trying out for football. I was just studying the link between brand damage and football. But yeah, Sam's got some good comebacks, and he has them throughout all three films. Like in the second one, it's like, oh, is your friend gonna get a tighter shirt or something like that? He just has great comebacks. Um, yeah, so Transformers really good. And then obviously that leaves the last one is Dark of the Moon, which I know there are people who find this one to be the best as well. You know, I feel like it's like when a lot of people have Revenge of the Sith as their favorite Star Wars movie opposed to Episode 5, and that's how I feel like this is. Like there's the people who have Dark of the Moon over Transformers 1, but people are like, oh no, what are you talking about? Transformers 1 is the greatest. Not saying I like Revenge of the Sith more than Episode 5, but I find that it's kind of like a similar dynamic. But I do have Dark of the Moon over Transformers. And the reason is the best action, the best comedy, and honestly, arguably the best story and the best villain. Like, has the greatest plot twist out of these movies, like with Sentinel turning on them all of a sudden. Arguably the saddest death with the killing of Ironhide, because
Oh
you know he's
no.
actually not coming back, which is only rivaled by the killing of Ratchet in Age of Extinction. Um, Except the rest of the movie's good for this one. And yeah, so like I said, Sam, like starting in the beginning, just like him finding a job, like that whole scene was just great with the comedy. With the Asian guy, Deep Wang, he's one of the funniest characters, one of the funniest scenes. It has Agent Simmons again. It has Carly instead of Megan, which it's unfortunate that they had to switch at the third movie because of the behind the scenes stuff, but I do find her like more likable than
I
Megan
think she's
Fox's
better.
character. Yeah.
I think she's hotter too, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah, just all
So
around
it's two
better.
for one, baby.
Yeah, maybe just she should have been there from the beginning, but um, yeah. So it has Agent Simmons still, and now it has Agent Simmons has a assistant, Dutch, and Dutch is also I find one of the funniest
He's
characters in the
probably the
series.
funniest character.
Yeah, yeah.
I wish he was in more of the movies.
exactly. Yeah,
He's
like
incredible.
it just
The actor was a perfect choice for that role.
Yep. Yeah, him. Also Sam's boss. I really liked him. Like it just has all the great cast members, and all the additions are actually better. Like Transformers 2, it had the great cast members, but then it added his roommate, which just wasn't that great of a character.
He was just annoying.
Yeah.
I mean, especially because what you said, like Deep Wang and his boss, those are all famous actors.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of famous people in this movie
Mm-hmm.
adding to the comedy.
Yeah,
Which I
and
really
just,
enjoyed.
like the whole ending was just an epic battle, but except it wasn't just like a mindless battle like Rise of the Beasts. It was like they were going from building to building, and they actually had like things they were trying to do, like like objectives, and they like mini objectives, and there was like mini bosses they had to fight, like the Shockwave and the Driller, Starscream.
Yeah,
Then
it felt like a video game almost,
Yeah.
with like sub bosses.
Yeah,
It's like,
and,
oh,
like-
you got to beat the sub boss and then move on to the next boss.
Mhm.
Oh no, your building is collapsing in slow motion.
Yeah, just
For like
the
10
most,
minutes
It's
straight.
had the most epic scenes in this one, like the set pieces. Like
But on the flip side, though, the battle at the end is almost a little too drawn out at some points.
yeah,
in my
I mean, I
opinion.
like the Optimus versus Sentinel battles. Is that what you're talking about?
No. I was
Oh.
talking about the
Just the whole thing.
pre-battle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole thing. I mean, yeah, it's pretty long, but I mean, I was just having so much fun with it that I just didn't want it to end. Especially when I first watched it. I remember in theaters, like it was so long that I was like, wow, this is really going. And then, but I like it. Like it's like this is taking forever, but I like that it's taking forever. So that's why you know it's a good movie.
Yeah, Optimus was a badass.
Yeah,
in this
exactly.
movie.
Yeah, he was arguably probably the most badass that he's ever been. Like that one scene where he comes down on his jet with his like wings, and then he like just kills everything, and then he just one punches Shockwave. That was one of the
That was
best like,
sick.
sequences.
That was really
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So then, obviously, the Sentinel Optimus dynamic was really good because he was his master. Then he turned on him, and then there was like an epic fight at the end. And then Optimus just slaughters him along with Megatron, which was one of like most brutal.
It was
Optimus
badass, but
scenes,
I
yeah.
felt like it should have been a little longer.
Yeah, especially the Megatron fight. I do wish he fought Megatron a little longer.
Yeah, you pretty much just instant killed him.
Yeah. So I'll just give my ratings that I gave them like after watching each movie. So I mean, maybe like going more in depth in each one, like watching them over and over again, I might change. But this is just like my numbers that I gave them like immediately after watching them. So at the bottom, I gave both of these two, Age of Extinction and Rise of the Beasts, a 4 out of 10. I gave Bumblebee and Transformers the Last Night both a 6 out of 10. And I'll just explain that. So 4 out of 10, basically, I found them boring. They were below average. 6 out of 10, because they were slightly more entertaining than average movies to me, like a middle-of-the-road movie. Though I do think Transformers The Last Night is worse story-wise and editing-wise, worse than an average movie. I found it more entertaining. But I could understand people putting that one down in the meh tier. But just for me, like, I just found that one, a lot of funny scenes in that. Which is really the only thing that saves it. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, I gave it a 7. A decent amount above average, but not great. It's good. Transformers, the original, I gave it a 7.5. It is approaching. It's great. It's not like the best movie ever made, but it's very entertaining, funny throughout. Just a very consistently good movie from start to finish. And then Dark of the Moon, like, we were like, even though we've watched it before, we were like laughing pretty hard at some scenes. Just some scenes were really epic. I find this a great, awesome movie. I put it in prime tier and I gave it an 8 out of 10. It could have been an 8.5 or a 9. But I mean, it's a Transformers movie. It's not like that big brain. It's really, getting an 8 is already like good enough. It's not like a perfect movie and not even close.
It's a 10 out of 10 action movie.
Yeah. In terms of pure like spectacle and action, it could be 10 out of 10. But as just a movie in general, I think an 8 out of 10 is pretty fair. It's just a very enjoyable, good movie, and I don't find.
I would put the only difference I would really make is the first Transformers movie. I'd put at the same tiers the third one, just because. For a product of its time, it was truly peerless, and it kind of still is truly amazing, like a technical marvel, really.
Yeah, if you're looking like from an just like a realistic like point of view, like taking in like when they were made and like what they did for the movie industry, that is completely fair. Like for me, I was just like rating it just purely on how I enjoyed them, especially this rewatch, ignoring everything else and just what I liked about the movies. I just found like Dark of the Moon to be a level above in terms of enjoyment. But yeah, like as you said, the Transformers, like it literally started this franchise. The Bay movies in general, the Transformers movies, they like kind of like changed probably how Hollywood like did action movies and stuff like that. They were so big. They definitely morphed a lot of these movies. And they
CGI
probably
became more of a thing.
Yeah, and also they probably like influenced future superhero movies and stuff like that, because I find it to be like a similar genre. Like it was like, this is before the MCU and this is before like the DCEU and stuff like that. And I feel like they might have helped spawn as like, hey, we could make big action movies with super powered characters like this, and it's going to get a lot of money,
especially from the Chinese market.
Yep. Yeah.
For either the better or detriment of most of these movies here.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, my fellow Weeaboos, for Age of Extinction being in the bottom tier, even though they did go to Asia in that movie. So that should be Weeaboo tier at the top, but unfortunately it wasn't. But okay, I forgot, Dark of the Moon has Deep Wong in it, and he's Asian, so it counts. That's why that's top tier. Or Deep Wang, not Wong, or is it Wong? I don't know. Whatever. I think it's Wang. Anything else you have to say about the Transformers movies?
They were pretty enjoyable. The newer ones are worse, sadly. What's going to be our next movie binge?
Well, we just watched The Flash recently, and that kind of makes me want to start watching the DCEU movies, because especially since that's ending now with James Gunn.
It would be fun to have our opinions on those. We have some pretty controversial opinions about those movies.
Yeah, especially since a lot of people hate on those movies, so we'll see what we think when we watch them again. So I think that's it for Transformers now. This will probably be my last Transformers video for a while until the next movie comes out. Unless this like blows up to 1 million views, then I'll keep making Transformers videos. But yeah, probably not. So when the next Transformers movies comes out, I'll probably do something else for Transformers. Maybe I'll do a Transformers Prime tier list, because I think people want to see that. But yeah, probably not now. The Transformers hype is already dying off. So I think that's it. Have anything else to say before I sign off?
I'm good.
Okay, Weeaboo Warrior out.
Everybody liked the video.
Yeah, roll out and subscribe to this channel, or Optimus will rip your face off. Well, that went well.
We've lost viewers, Master. You two must be shadow banning the channel.
I can't even rely on you to get a single subscriber!
One subscriber out of 7 billion.
Shut up!
They could be watching anybody.
Then we will force them to watch me instead. It's time for the world to know of my presence. No more disguises. No normies. It's time for the Weeaboo's arrival.